In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up a high-ticket program using our own proprietary lead conversion system. Now, this has always been a complicated process in the past, and you had to have multiple platforms to be able to do what I'm about to show you in one system. Now, this is something that we did just recently, and so if you look over here on the left-hand side, you can see that there's 234 people that are interested in joining our mastermind that we do here in Las Vegas called EverMentor. Now, the goal is for me to be able to move these prospects over to the stage that says applied and then get them over to a 1 status, which means they have closed. Now, this here, if you look at the numbers here, this is actually a potential 7-figure offer that we have with this mastermind. And so these leads are going to move through the stages in this pipeline automatically. You see, that's what our system does. Also notice on the left-hand side, the stages are blue, and over on the right-hand side, the stages are orange. And so those are called stage sets. You're going to see out-of-the-box technology that you've never seen before in any other system. Now, there's 3 simple goals with our system. Number 1 is to capture. Number 2 is to qualify. And number 3 is to convert. And so you're able to capture leads any way you see fit. It doesn't matter if it's a Facebook ad, a survey, application, a landing page, if you have ClickFunnels, if you want to import your leads, if you want to use Zapier, whatever the case may be, we can capture the lead. And then based on how active that lead is or how recent their activity is, we're able to qualify the lead. You filter through your qualifications, and then you're able to convert the lead with your sales pipeline, all included in one system. Now, this is a 3-step auto conversion process. This is exactly what we do in our business. Matter of fact, we just did this the other day. So step number 1 is we need to find out what our prospect is interested in. And so the best way to do that is to put surveys out to your audience. And so you're going to nurture your audience with emails or text messages or messenger, or however you choose to nurture your audience. And then you're simply going to ask them, hey, could you do me a favor and take this little questionnaire? Could you fill out this application? Could you tell me how I can help you in this survey? We do these every single week. And so our prospect completes this survey, and what happens is we then fire off a tag for anything that they're interested in. Now, I'm going to show you this whole process in this video. But when that tag fires off, what happens is all this magic automation takes place, and we go ahead and drop that prospect into a pipeline, into a specific stage called interested. That was the stage I just showed you on the previous screen. And so what that means is the prospect has shown interest in one of our products or services. That's the first phase. Now, the second phase is we have to determine, is the prospect actually serious? And so when we know they're interested, now we need to find out, okay, how serious is the prospect? And so at this point, they no longer are completing surveys. Instead, we're going to ask them to complete an application. And once again, when they complete that application, a tag is going to get fired off that says they have now applied. And we're going to do something different. We're going to create something called an auto task. This is a task that's created as soon as that tag fires off. And so that auto task may tell one of my staff members, hey, this person just completed the application, call up and see if we're able to collect payment or see how we can serve the client. And so once that tag fires off, the prospect is then moved to a stage called applied. And so they're in the same pipeline, but now they're just going to automatically be moved over to applied. So you don't have to move the prospect yourself, which is what all the other pipelines out there do. And so once the prospect has applied with us, the next step is how can we serve the prospect? And so we serve the prospect by contacting them. So that could be on the phone, or that could be through something like Messenger. And this is something that I have my team do. And once we serve the client, they understand the opportunity, they know it's a good fit for them, then we receive payment, tag is fired off, and they are closed inside the pipeline. And so this is the 3-step auto conversion process. Number one, we put surveys out there to find out what are they most interested in. Number two, once we know they're interested, we ask them to complete an application. And number three, once they have the application complete, we simply say, what can we do to serve you? And if it's a good fit, then we will go ahead and close them. So as you can see, the survey is the key. Now the survey, this is an example of one of our surveys right here on the screen, is going to serve multiple purposes. So here's what the survey is doing. Number one, we are getting their contact info. So we're getting their name, email, and phone number if we don't have it already. Number two, we are collecting useful data. Now, we're going to use this data, especially when we're serving the prospect either on the phone or through Messenger. But not only that, this data here helps us determine, okay, how can we email our prospects? How can we serve them in a Facebook group? How can we market? How can we message our prospects? You see, they will tell you exactly where they were struggling or where they need help, what their passions are, what they're most excited about. And so you want to make sure that you have that data in there. And it's also going to help us pre-qualify the lead. In other words, we're going to know if they're interested in any of our offers. And so we're going to figure out, okay, what is it we have to offer? And we're going to ask that in the survey. And so as you can see here on the screen, question number 6 is, when we open up EverMentor again, would you be interested in joining? And so based on how they answer, if they choose yes, we are going to fire off that they are qualified. If they choose maybe, we are going to fire off that they are qualified. And if they choose no, that's what we call disqualified, but we're still going to fire off the tag that they completed the survey. So they're going to get a tag fired off no matter what. And you want to fire off tags for everything in our system, especially when they complete applications, surveys, appointments, landing pages, whatever the case may be, so that you know what the lead has done. But in this case, we are definitely going to fire off a qualified tag if they say yes or if they say maybe. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the actual steps to lay out your offers. Now understand that the interests are going to lead to your core offers. And so here's an example, okay? Let's just say on our surveys, we want to know, is our prospect interested in any of these topics? And so we may ask them, would you like to learn how to manage leads in your business? Or would you like to learn how to build a membership or how to sell to local businesses? Or would you be interested in joining a mastermind? Now, based off these interests here, what I'm able to do is I'm able to link them to one of my core offers. And so if somebody says, yes, I'd like to learn how to manage leads, well, they're a great fit for the lead conversion system. If they say, I'd like to learn how to build a membership, well, they're a great fit for the EverLesson platform. If they say, I want to learn how to sell to businesses, well, they're a good candidate for our agency license. And if they say they want to join our mastermind, then they're a great fit for the EverMentor mastermind. And so the goal is to find out what the prospect is interested in and then sell our offers to them if they're a good fit. Okay, so that is step number 1. Now, step number 2, here's where you're going to create your sales pipeline. Now, you only need one pipeline for all of your offers. I'm going to repeat that. Even though you have the ability to create multiple pipelines, you could have one pipeline for each one of your offers. What I recommend you do is I recommend that you keep it stupid simple and you only have one pipeline for all of your offers. And the stages need to be very, very basic. In other words, anybody that is interested, we're going to fire off a tag and we're going to drop them in the stage called interested. And then what we're going to do is we're going to ask them to fill out an application. That is the stage for applied. Now, as we get on the phone, as we talk to them on Messenger or whatever the case may be, they may be on the fence. So the goal is either A, let's get them closed, or B, let's lose a sale. But you're going to have people that say, you know, I got to think about it. I got to consult with my wife. I got to see if I can get the funds together. Okay, so at that point, we move them over there to a pending stage. And then once they become a customer, we have a new stage set, and this is our onboarding. So you may need them to sign an agreement, an NDA, a contract. You may have a welcome sequence that goes out. Well, this is a new stage set, and that is called our onboarding. Now you're saying, but wait a minute, Chad, wouldn't it be confusing having all of my offers and all of my tags in one pipeline? Well, in most systems it would. But you see, in this individual pipeline, you're able to filter by tags, offers, or assignments. In other words, I can look at my pipeline and I can say, okay, do me a favor, only show me the people that either have the tag that they are interested in EverMentor, or they have the offer that they're interested in EverMentor. And then with my staff members, I can actually filter down by staff member. Okay? So now step number 3 is we're going to actually create our tags. I want you to create 4 tags. Now the first set of tags are right here in this white box. These 2 tags are used for identification purposes only. And so you're going to create a tag group called submissions, and therefore all of your tags for any survey or application or form or landing page that gets submitted would go inside of this tag group. Therefore, I'm going to create a tag called EverMentor Survey. I could also just call it EverMentor since it's under the group submissions. But the next tag we're going to create is for when they complete the application. And therefore, we're going to create a tag called EverMentor Application, and it's going to go in the tag group Applications. Again, these 2 tags are just there for identification purposes. But now we're going to get a little more detailed with our tags. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a tag group called Interested, and we're going to create a tag in there called EverMentor. And so what this means is if they open up your survey and they say, okay, I am interested in EverMentor, you are going to fire off a tag for that one answer, and it's going to be in the group called Interested. And when that tag fires off, here's what happens. It's going to add this specific contact to a pipeline, and it's going to be the first stage, which is called Interested. And at that point, a whole entire campaign builder is going to trigger, and it's going to send out email messages. It's going to send out text messages if you choose to. It's completely up to you how you want to have it set up. But we're also going to create a tag for when they apply, when they fill out our application. And that tag could also be called EverMentor. And the tag group is going to be called Applied. So you have one tag group called Interested. You have another tag group called Applied. And so now this one, what's going to happen is that tag is going to be assigned to the prospect. They're not going to be added to a pipeline, but instead they're going to be moved in the same pipeline. So when they were interested, they were in an interested stage. But now that they filled out the application, they're going to be moved to an applied stage. And at that point, what we do is we create what's called an auto task. And so the auto task is going to tell one of my assistants to call up and set up an appointment for this prospect to see how we can better serve them. But at this point, we know they're serious because they have filled out the application. And not only that, they are qualified on the application. And based on the fact that they're qualified, at this point, we are going to create an offer for them. And this is where I'm going to assign it to my staff member. Now, I could have assigned it to my staff member in the interested stage, or I could have assigned it to my staff member as soon as they completed the first survey. But what I like to do is assign it to the staff member after they have filled out an application and they are qualified. Because at this point, this is where my staff member is getting the notification on their phone that they have a hot lead and this person is interested in joining EverMentor or whatever the program may be. Now, you may think that creating tags to do everything that you see here on the screen, dropping in a pipeline, moving the stages, firing off text messages, emails, creating auto tasks, creating offers, assigning the staff members, doing all these things would be complicated. And in the past, it has been complicated, and you've had to use multiple pieces of software to do all this, but not with this system. You see, all you're going to do is create your tag name. You're going to link it to your group. And then if you want to take this prospect and put them in an outside autoresponder, such as Infusionsoft, ActiveCampaign, Aweber, you can do that. If you want to automatically drop them into something like GoToWebinar, you can do that. In the pipelines, this is where you're going to say, okay, go ahead and add it to this pipeline. Or if they're already in the pipeline, move it to the next stage, as long as the stage is further along. Or you may say, since they're going to get added to this pipeline, remove them from all other pipelines. You have control over what you want to do with this tag. And at this point, you may assign them to an offer or bundle. Once they fill out the application, that's what we do. And then once the tag gets fired off, it creates an auto task that tells my team, hey, see if you can schedule an appointment with this prospect because they filled out the application and they are qualified. Now, we also have an entire appointment scheduling system inside of this platform as well. And so I could also have my team schedule an appointment with that system, or I could do it with automation. It's completely up to you. But now you see why we're calling this the world's most powerful tag, because it is an army of automation that automatically kicks in. And so now that you understand that you're going to create the tags, step number 4 is you're going to create the survey. And this is the exact process that you need to follow. Now, this should not be an application. An application should just be if you're trying to enroll somebody in a program or you're trying to sell them into a product or a service. Instead, you want to have a fun style survey, similar to what you see here on the screen. This is a very, very beautiful responsive survey. It was built inside of our system. And so this is what you want your survey to consist of. So yes, you need to ask for contact information. You definitely need to ask for a phone number, but you don't have to make that mandatory. If you make that mandatory, certain people won't give you their number, and therefore you're going to hurt your conversions. So we ask for the phone number, but it's not mandatory. Now, you want to ask relevant questions. Some people call these filler questions. However, these are the questions that are going to help you determine how you should talk to your prospect, who your avatar is, and how you should market them in the future with your email, with your bots, with your groups, however you choose to communicate to them. And so you want to ask them relevant questions. And so recently, we have a survey we put together for anybody who's looking to build an online course. And so we'll ask questions like, what is your niche or marketplace? Have you ever built a course before? What have you used to build your course? What piece of software? How long is your course? Okay, and so these questions here not only help us determine how to market our prospect, but they also help my sales team when they get on a phone or they're in Messenger with them. And so we're also going to have our money question. This is the opportunity. This helps us determine what are they interested in. And so in the previous screens, you saw where I asked that question, when we open up EverMentor, would you be interested in joining? So we're just piquing their interest at this point. If they say yes, they are qualified, we are going to fire off a tag that says EverMentor, and it is going to be inside the interested group. Okay, so that's how that happens. That money question qualified tag gets fired off. Now, I recommend that you keep it to just one money question per survey. Okay, so 95% of that survey is going to be relevant questions according to the niche or the topic that you are focused on. They're going to help you determine how to market that prospect. They're going to help your sales team on the phone. And then you want to have one simple money question. And remember, I call it a money question, but this question here is going to serve them and allow them to be their highest and best. And then finally, we're also going to fire off a tag that says, yes, they completed the EverMentor survey. Okay? And if you want, you can make a qualified tag on that. It's up to you. Okay? So this is what you want your survey to consist of. Now, here's the reason why I tell you keep it to one money question. You see, based on how they answer, yes, I want to attend EverMentor. Maybe I want to attend EverMentor, or no, I do not want to attend EverMentor. The yes and the maybe mean that they were qualified, and the no means they were disqualified. And so based off that, we're able to set up page redirects on how they answer. And so if they say yes, which means they are qualified, let's send them to a page that has a really nice video that says, okay, here is your next step. And it's completely up to you what you want your next step to be. Or if they say no, well, let's do the same exact thing, even though they're disqualified, which does not necessarily mean that we are discriminating. It just means that we're going to send them a different direction. Let's send them to another page with a really nice video saying, hey, perfect, I understand, but do me a favor. Why don't you check out this auto webinar so that you can see if the coaching program is a good fit for you? You see, you're able to determine what direction you want them to go based on how they answer. And so let's take a look at what happens when that survey tag is fired off, because this is when the army of automation automatically kicks in. And so we have the interested tag called EverMentor, right? And so the redirect, the pages after they submit, it's either going to take them to a page with my video where it says, okay, here's what you need to do. You need to click the button below and go ahead and apply for EverMentor. Or I'll pre-sell them to an auto webinar. I'll say, hey, great, I'm glad you're interested in EverMentor. Go ahead and click the link down below. I've got a special auto webinar for you. Or it may be a call to action to get them to make an appointment using the scheduler inside of our system. Okay, so that's just the page redirects. But also at the same time, remember that tag got fired off too, right? That interest tag. And so when that happens, we can also send them a text to initiate the conversation. We can actually continue the conversation inside of our software. It's really cool. I'll show you a screenshot of that here in a minute. Or we can send out an email that says, hey, your next step is to apply, or watch this webinar, or make an appointment with my sales team. And at the same time, we're going to drop them in a pipeline with the stage that is interested. And at this point, maybe you want to go ahead and assign an auto task, or maybe you want to assign it to an employee. Remember, I don't do this until they have actually filled out the application, but it's completely up to you. So all of this tagging is taking place. I showed you that little pop-up window, but at the same time, we have a follow sequence in place that's ready to fire as well as soon as that tag is triggered. And so the tag is right here. This is the interested EverMentor tag. And so when that tag gets fired off, this sequence is listening for that tag. And then what it's going to do is it's going to fire off a text message, then it'll wait 10 minutes, and it'll fire off an email. So you don't have to use a third-party autoresponder unless you want to. You're able to do all of this right here inside of our system. So that tag fires off and it puts them inside this sequence. Now, let's look at step number 5. This is where we're going to create our application. Now, this is the style application you want. When you're enrolling people or you're trying to sell them into your product or service, you want it to be serious. And so you're going to have a title, you're going to have instructions, and then you're going to ask questions on this application. And here's what you want your application to consist of. Yes, you want to ask for their contact information. Yes, you want to ask for their phone number. Now, at this point, since it is an application, it's no longer just a survey where people are having fun and showing you what they're interested in. You definitely want to ask for that number, and they will give it to you 9 times out of 10. You want to ask relevant questions. Now, these are not questions to determine, okay, how can I market them in the future? How can I talk to my prospect? Instead, you want to ask questions to make sure they are a good fit. In other words, tell me about your business. Do you live in the area? Do you believe that you can make a difference in somebody's life? How much do you need to make to replace your current income? You see, all of these are relevant questions so that the sales team can determine, are they actually a good fit for your program? And you want to have a serious question. You need to find out, are they actually ready to buy? And the way we do that is we say, right now, ... I have the funds to invest in your product or service. Or number 2 is, I have access to invest in the funds for your product or service. Number 3 is, I would like you to help me get financed so that I can invest in your product or service. Or number 4 is, I do not have the funds to invest in your product or service. You see, that question right there determines, are they qualified, yes or no? And so when you fire off this tag, you're going to fire off a tag that says, yes, they submitted the EverMentor application. It's going to go in the application group, and you're going to set it up to where they're either qualified or disqualified as well. And so that's how this works. Now, what happens is when they submit this application, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to redirect them. If they're qualified, you're going to redirect them to the next step. If they're disqualified, you're going to redirect them to the next step. So you take them to a landing page, nice video, says, hey, congratulations, we just received your application. Here's the next step. Go ahead and click the button down below and make an appointment, or watch your phone. We'll be sending you a text message in the next 24 hours. If they're disqualified, hey, we received your application. We will be in touch with you shortly. In the meantime, why don't you check out this auto webinar so that you can learn more about our coaching program? Okay? Same exact process. Instead of using a survey, we use an application. And as you can see, the approach is a lot different. Now let's look at what happens with the tagging on an application. So when the application tag is fired off, this is where the automation kicks in as well. So you see we have the tag there that says, yes, they applied for EverMentor. And so yes, we'll redirect on the submission. We'll take them to the thank you page with a nice video. Here's your next step. Okay. And then when that tag gets fired off, we're going to go ahead and move them in the pipeline. They were in the interested stage. Now it's going to automatically move over to the applied stage. We're going to create an auto task for my team that says, hey, call this person up, see how you can serve them. And if they're ready to invest in the program, we're going to create an offer that is assigned to that lead. And so we're going to go ahead and assign them to the pipeline. It's going to say, yes, they have applied for EverMentor. We're going to go ahead and assign that offer to one of our sales team members. And that way, when the sale is made, they get credit for the sale. So let's go ahead and have a quick recap. I want to make sure you get this, okay? Because this is what's happened so far, right? We are nurturing our prospects. We're talking to them through email, through bots, through text messages, however you choose to communicate. And we're asking them to complete a survey. Now, people love filling out surveys. It builds a trust and rapport. It allows us to collect contact info. We're able to get all the marketing data we need so that we know how to message and prospect them in the future. And people love contributing. You will get monster responses on your surveys. Some of our surveys, we get an 89% response rate. And on a lot of our surveys, over 70% of the people actually give us their phone number. Now, once they submit the survey, then we have the page redirects. We take them to a landing page with a video. We ask them to apply. We present them with a webinar. It can be an auto webinar. It can be a live webinar, or we direct them to the application, or we can simply ask them a question. But at the same time, we have all the automation happening as well, right? Because the tag gets fired off. We know that they are interested, so we place them in the pipeline. They're placed in that interested stage. Emails and texts are sent out. Maybe we have an auto task at this point. Maybe we assign it to the sales team member. Completely up to you. So the only goal left is to make that sale. At this point, there's two options. Option number one is the prospect completes the application. Now you know exactly what happens. Or option number two, the prospect buys without the application. And you can see how that can happen as well, because somebody submits a survey. At this point, an auto task is created or the tag is fired off. You're following up. You're getting the leads on your phone. Doesn't really matter. Either way, you win as long as you're serving your prospect. So that is the whole entire process. So your next step is you need to figure out, how do I create these pages? How do I create landing pages, applications, surveys? How do I schedule people for appointments? Well, it's all done right here in this all-inclusive system. And when you're dealing with text messages and people are giving you their phone number and you're following up, they're going to respond back to you. And so you need to be able to respond to all of your text messages. You can do all of that right here in the system. And as I'm talking to somebody, obviously I need to get their name. And so I come over here to the right side and I go ahead and type in their name. I can type in their company name. I can go ahead and swap out their pipeline right here. I can assign leads. I can update the stages. I can do all of this while I'm actually texting somebody. This screen right here is called the Work Hub. It's everything you need in our system. You see, we figure that if you watch incoming text, if you watch incoming email, if you know what your tasks are for the day, and if you are aware of your appointments, this is the only screen that you need to watch. And so now I'm going to show you how easy it is to close a lead inside of our system. And so this is an actual screenshot of my dashboard. So you can see 626 leads have been generated, 20 scheduled appointments. I have 81 pending texts. Those are people that we haven't responded to yet. I have one task that's due. And then over here on the left side, you see I have my internal leads. So these are all my applications, my surveys, my appointments, my landing pages. I have a business card I can give away to generate leads. And then over on the right side, those are my external leads. So if I'm using like something like ClickFunnels, Profit Builders, Thrive Themes, Convertri, I can create a form and put it on those pages. SMS, people can go ahead and text keywords to me. Everlesson, that's our content management system. So I have online courses people are signing up for. They're hitting inside this system. Zapier, pretty much any way you could think of to generate a lead, that's going to be captured over there. Then I got my appointments and my tasks down below. But what happens is if you click on one of these leads, you're taken to what's called the lead detail. And so as you can see, the goal was to give you everything you needed in one place to be able to close that lead. And so you have their flame quality. I can very quickly tell, okay, I got their email, I have their phone number, they're in a pipeline, I haven't sold them anything yet. The last contact date, they're in 5 pipelines, they're assigned to 0 offers. I have my tags that have been assigned, I have my offers, I have my tasks. And then over here on the right-hand side, I can see all of my interactions, the different stages, the whole entire history. I can actually click that little eyeball where it says submission, and I can actually see their survey and application results right here in this one screen. I can see all their appointments, any custom fields, their contact record. We have something called bank fields. I can change the pipeline stage over there in the top right corner. And then if I click that little $sign, I'm actually even able to bring in all of the offers that I have so that while I'm on a call with them or while I'm texting them, I can actually even call them inside the system. I have all of my links right there to go. But the best part is everything that you're seeing here on the screen, you can actually receive on our mobile app as well. And so you can access and manage all of your leads from your own custom branded mobile app. So not only do you have a business card that people can make appointments, they can fill out your applications, your surveys, you can fire off tags, you can do all those things. But in order to stay on top of everything with your leads, this intuitive mobile app is going to allow you to call, text, and email. You're going to get what's called hot lead notifications. You decide what's a hot lead. You have your whole entire user database there. That's called Lead Bank. You have all your pipelines. You can actually drag the names throughout your pipeline. You have your personal appointments. You have your list of daily tasks. You're able to send out your digital card and fire off a tag. And there's so much more inside of this mobile app. So as you can see, this really is sales generation software that you will actually use. Easy conversions, easy sales, and so very easy to use. So I want to thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Hopefully now you understand that this is the only solution you need when it comes to generating and managing your leads. I invite you to join the community, grab yourself a copy of the software, and on that note, I want to wish you all the best. Take care.